9 tries, but there were some silly penalties, not protecting the ball enough.
Yeah.
Still silly.
Yeah, I think they don't get the credit they deserve, those guys, because they are much better than people give them credit for. And the one area they're really good at, they don't give you any rhythm. They don't allow you to play. And yes, they push the boundaries, which I suppose is frustrating. There was a lot of times we were on the front foot, we just couldn't get the ball up. And that meant we had to maybe put another number in the breakdown to secure it before we started it, before we thought we could run it away from that breakdown. But they are, they're a good team, and as I said, they make it difficult for you, and still to score 9 tries, and still to, we coughed up a few as well. So it's a good day out, and 5 points in the bank. And now we go on a tour. Much easier to climb on the aeroplane when you've got 5 points in a row than if we had lost that game.
And just looking at France, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
You're going to take your best players, or what are your plans?
Yeah, well, it's not a case of take my best players. We're on tour for 4 weeks, and we don't have I don't think any club's got the ability to fly teams back and forth. So even if I wanted to take another team and rest some guys, it would be logistically impossible. So but take a team, and I'm not sure how we'll start next week, as in, look at their games. They play today as well. And then I'll make a call about which sort of team we need to put on the field. The conditions are different. I don't think it'll be as open as this game was today. But so, we don't have the luxury of flying teams back and forth. Once we go now, we're going to almost start preparing for 4 weeks on tour. And it could be 5. If you win against Bayonne and you win against the next round, you then stay for the semi-finals, which is after the Glasgow game, which is not an easy tour at all. You have Munster, Glasgow, and then the semi-final of Europe is a tough 3 weeks. So I'll have to think about it and box a little bit differently in terms of how we want to get to the back end of the tour. But obviously, can't stop planning about what happens in week 4 and 5 when we haven't got through week 1 and 2.
Thank you.
Jake, with Keegan Johannes' performance today, 10.
Yeah.
Is he ever under threat of having to go back to 9 again?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to move him back to 9, to be honest. And I was never going to anyway. There's this thing that he's, he can. I think he'll be a little bit like that French number 9s that I always told you about, Elisard and Morgan Parra and, those players. Even Dupont's played 9 at 10 for France. So when I was coaching there, it was almost quite normal for a guy like Morgan Parra, for example, when he was at Clermont, to play 1 game at 10, 1 game at 9, sometimes start at 9, go to 10. So it gives us a lot of options now that I know he can play 9 and 10, and that'll do his confidence really good. He's actually enjoyed playing against the 2 Italian sides. Remember, we played in Benetton, and he played really well there. We won the game away from home, and then today was man of the match, so I'm sure that'll give him a massive boost.
I know you said they were pretty difficult to play against, but obviously 9 tries would suggest that you had the right plans against them, making sure that you kicked out, you didn't give them a chance to run back at you.
Yeah, obviously I think the game plan and the way we wanted to, it's altitude, as I said to you during the week as well. It's different, they try to throw the ball around and they're all good at it, but when they made a mistake at altitude, you get punished. You look at that one try when David Creel scored it. They took a quick line out the ball before they knew it. It just showed again that how fatigue can play a massive role in touring teams that come in. There were a lot of things that were very, very positive, and I think the way I got a message from someone just at the end of the game, from a friend of mine in Wales, saying the last 20 minutes looked like the Bulls of old. And I think he's spot on. That's how we used to play. I'm talking about at the Bulls for years. And there was a lot of signs there that we're getting back to the way we used to play, and it's a strength of us. And I thought, again, when I walked out there, we didn't have Billy at fullback, we didn't have Kanan and Kurtley on the wings, so it's a completely different back 3. And yes, we gave a try away where they grabbed it through in the backfield, was a little bit exposed. And there was another time when you kick it out, fullback capped it, and got through as well. So it's twice that we probably shot ourselves in the foot by not looking after the backfield.
Coach, also just back on the individuals, you pretty much didn't ever finally get an opportunity to get back onto the field after what you see the sensitive heart situation. How tough are you to see him get back, conquer the situation, and get another opportunity to play the field?
Well, I'm very happy. I mean, he's played 83 times for the Bulls since I've been here. This is his 83rd game, so we've had a lot of faith in him for a long time. And then, as you know, he had that heart problem, and you know, when you're a prop and you have a heart problem, you can't really train as hard as you would like. So the things he needed, which was to get fit and stronger, you can't stress that when you had that heart problem. So I'm sure he, just like Ruan Nokia, will be very happy after a long injury to come back and play, and you know, and obviously play the way they did at the end there. Because as I said, the last 20 minutes was, you know, to quote a mate in Wales, looked like the Bulls of old.
And then also, one of the games that you have on tour is going to be, I think, on the 4G pitch in Wisconsin.
Two.
Yeah.
Well, if you get to Edinburgh, it could be 2 games as well. You know?
So you've just been a problem for teams going there, the conditions.
Massive problem.
Is there a game plan this time around to try and make sure that you know there's going to be issues, but how do you combat those issues? You just deal with them.
Yeah, listen, it's like playing golf off a mat or hitting off a grass when you're at the driving range. And that's as simple as it is. It's very, very different. And as you continue to practice on the 4G and you're going to always, I wouldn't say struggle, but you're always going to struggle to adapt. And that is something that we're going to have to work on. We might have to play those teams in away legs. And in Glasgow, unfortunately, we might have to play them in a away leg in the playoffs. So maybe it's a good way of just seeing how good we are and what works, what doesn't work. I do know that the Scottish sides love playing on 4G pitches. That's why Edinburgh and Glasgow are, you know, obviously such a difficult team to play against, because the fact that they like to play with quick ball and they get quick ball based on the fact that it's on a 4G pitch.
And we've got a tough tour coming up, and also the Bulls want to win every game, especially as a coach. But for you, what would constitute a respectable tour approach you have to come back with if you can't have your best scenario for every game?
My best scenario, if we weren't winning, was to get all the dots aligned for the fact that we might have to go back to Munster and we might have to go back to Glasgow. We might have to do it the other way around. It just depends on where we finish. We might play Munster here, Glasgow there, I'm not sure, but we definitely possible that for them in the top 8, I see they're beating Connacht now as well, Munster. So it could be that we either play them in the quarterfinals and we end up playing Glasgow in the semi-final, or Glasgow could finish, knock someone out, and we could end up playing Glasgow in the final again. So what I would really like out of this tour is to use this tour, and especially the URC games, as a dress rehearsal for where we are, what we need to do, and what we're going to need if we're going to have to beat these teams. Because the one thing that's significantly different now on this tour, it's not about bonus points. I think the wins and the knockout rugby style is going to be the most important thing.
Hi, Jack. Something you talked about the way you get to players that are not regularly playing up to scratch, with this conferences and stuff. Noticeable, like you said, the backfield, for example, didn't play that well, a couple of mistakes here and there. And now you have to develop your squad going into this. You always going to be playing. How do you get around that? Getting the right skills back up to match.
We've got Kennedy and Pee-wee, and they work really hard on the individual skills of players. We spend lots of time in our gym working on all the skills that we need to, whether it's breakdown, catching, passing, and what is important. Even if they're not playing, they need to make sure that their skill development improves as well. And then when they get results like that, yes, they made mistakes, and I think even Willie, let's be fair, Willie makes mistakes when he's got 98 tests. So, that you put that in perspective and you realize that it's going to take time. But as I said just now in there, that we don't have Cannon, Turkey and Willie with 3 Springboks, and we've got Savino, Devon and Sergio. They're not Springboks. And there were times they were really good in the way they handled the back 3. Attack and defense, And there were other times we looked like we were off the pace a bit, either missed the tackle or let the ball bounce, or we didn't anticipate they were going to take a quick line out. Which again are those things that the back three, when they've got experience, will understand. So, but the skill development is something that we work on with every player. I mean, if you look at a guy like Jeff Van Heeren, you look how he's grown calling lineouts now. And you look how he's a youngster still, and he's come in leaps and bounds compared to where he was 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. And I'm sure the more he works with the skill coaches, the more he works now with Ruan Nokia's back, I'm almost sure that skill will also improve.
I want to ask you another question, which I know you're not going to like, but injury updates.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that speak about really. People seeing on Instagram, I know we got the notification.
Yes.
You did tell us about it.
Yes.
But people going on about the Bulls never tell anybody about the injuries and that, which is not true. What's your feeling about having injuries?
It's not true. I mean, obviously, sometimes you find out that he's injured not before me, but before I want to tell you. And that my philosophy there, guys, is that we play against teams, and there's so much analysis that's done now. That's why teams wait so long to announce their team it's because if I do an injury update every single time of who's playing, who's not playing, who's touring, who's in, well, I might as well give the opposition, because it's not hard for them to work out which guys will be playing, which guys won't be playing. And, sometimes you get a guy who's injured, and then, like a guy like Cameron, he was announced, not by you, but he was announced by us in the team for the weekend, and I withdrew him on Friday. Now, as I said, it's just one of those things that I think with all the analysis and with all the homework gets done, and with all the, how you start and how you end. I mean, I thought today again, I didn't do it for any other reason than I wanted to see how we end. And there's no doubt that we ended the way that I want us to end with that group of players that was on the field. And who knows, maybe, as I said, that's the way I want to start next week, is that give these guys 20, 30 minutes together. They're fresh, they played together, they were really good in the last 20, 30 minutes. So that's a way in which we can select for next weekend. But as I said, there's no agenda there. I just don't think it's one of those things where, you put out injuries. I mean, we've got so many injured players, and then it could come across that we're trying to find a reason why we're not hitting our straps. And all of you understand rugby enough to know that if you don't have Curtly, Kane, and Willie, and one person playing in your backline is very different to what it could be. And you don't have Cameron, Reinhard Ludwig, Gerard Steenkamp, then your forward pack is also Albert Lowe. Your forward pack isn't as good as it could be either. That's just from what we've been able to put together in the last couple of years. So yeah, it's you'll hear. I mean, if we need to, like Valley's put out that he's had an injury, and I think it's also important to know that we did that based on the fact that we would like to help him be ready for the test series that's coming, because he has so much to lose if we delay it. So it's also a win-win for everybody. We want to look after him, and as I said, when he's back there, we're going to try and get him back into the field and make sure that he plays as well as he can going into that test series. That's fine.
Jack, saying that, just on this discussion, can you tell us anybody for next week for the tour in general? Cameron, those guys in
Yeah, so Cameron will be fine. I mean, he'll be fine. Cameron not yet. But again, here we go again. Because tomorrow then I announce him, and then you say, I can tell you. And then the other thing is, if I'm Bayon and I hear Canaan's not coming, I realise that there's a lot more that they can do against us. So, but and it's funny, Brendan, because I've just come from the change room. There's guys going through sonar on their ankles and on their, so it can change. What happens is, you think you're going to leave this guy behind, you're going to take him, and then you have to change it. And then the thing that you would understand, it's not just one for one, it's like for like. So sometimes the guy's going to fall out because you need to replace him with another guy that is like for like.
I was going to ask you just how difficult, you spoke about how this is a 4, possibly 5-week tour.
Yeah.
But the one thing that could throw everything into chaos, I suppose, is if the lines perhaps when the game gets out, then you might have to fly back to South Africa.
Then I might play the guys on that home.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's asking my question. I mean, how do you plan for that?
You see, that's the one thing that is so difficult. That is, and where people talk about the European Cup games, as in Challenge or Champions Cup games, Investec. It's so difficult because I don't know where we're going to be next week. I mean, we could be either be in Edinburgh, we could come back to Loftus, we could actually have the week off, and then then the planning begins for Munster. And so that's also why it's quite interesting when we spoke to a travel agent. We can't book flights on a Friday to Edinburgh and then out of Edinburgh to Munster, because if we don't go to Edinburgh, then there's 2 flights we have to cancel. And you obviously know what that costs to cancel 50 people's plane tickets, because you can't use them again. It's not like internal flights. Yeah. So it is a different challenge for us playing in this tournament and having to go to the other side of the world. But I think what we'll do is we'll see. When we're lucky enough, we play first against Bayonne. We'll know then whether we're in or out, and then we can make a decision after the final whistle of the other games, whether or not what we're going to do.
And then you spoke a bit about this being basically knockout rugby from now on.
Yeah.
Is it a good or a bad thing that it is from this early maybe into the playoffs? Or?
No. I mean, it's knockout rugby also for the Investec Challenge Cup as well.
Yeah.
So we're probably very fortunate that every game now is basically, it is, because even when we get home, we play 2 home games here, and we might need to win both those games in order to finish higher on the log, which is obviously logical, what I'm telling you. So in effect is the next knockout games of Europe and the next couple of games of EuroC are generally going to be games that you're going to have to find a way to win, even if you win by 1 point.